Welcome back to the Independent Podcast where Nick D and Connor Price answer your questions.
That was fast.
And Bree.
Oh, yeah. I chime in every once in a while, whether it's asked for or not. So.
You're the real MVP of this podcast.
All right, we're going to move on. All right, question. I'm an independent artist myself. I got my first hate comment. The comment had a lot of choice words to say about my music. How do you guys go about responding to hate like that?
I respond with love. So, and I've been doing that for years. And indirectly, you kind of get more people that support you from it because they see your response and they respect you for your response and staying level-headed and blah, blah. But what I find often is, like, you know, somebody will write a song and say, or write a comment and say, like, I'll just say something really simple because it's easier. Like mid, right? Mid. And they know what they're doing. They're just being disrespectful. They're saying, like, yeah, the song's average, song sucks, whatever. And I just respond like, hey, sorry you didn't enjoy the song.
And they'll usually switch up.
Yeah, they'll switch it up. They'll be like, oh, well, nah, like Song's Fire is just not as good as your other song. You know, or they'll switch it up. Sometimes they'll just delete their comment because, you know, they thought they were being funny. They realized, like, I'm just a nice guy, so they delete it. You know, they take it back. And I think that you gotta have, you do have to have thick skin to be in any type of post yourself on the internet game. But there was a scenario. This is a side scenario. It's like a little story. I did a show in my hometown. I did a show at this place in downtown in my hometown, and it sold out in less than 24 hours. Now, It wasn't too big. It was like 75 cap. It sold out in less than 24 hours, and I booked another show the week after because I wanted to make sure everybody wanted to come could come. That one sold out too. But I say this because the guy there, I was like, hey, I'd like to come rehearse if that's all right, like, you know, blah, blah. And then he started giving me attitude, talking down to me, saying some things. And I think he was stressed at the time, like he was worried like he's going to lose his theater and like blah, blah. None of that stuff had to do with anything with me, but he was coming at me a little different. And then he yelled at me. Not yelled, just like, not like, but, and he said, you got to have thick skin to be in the music industry because this thing will tear you apart or something like that. Because I was basically saying, you know, I don't like accept how he's talking to me. So I said, all right, I'm going to move my show. I'm going to move my show to a different location. And he was like, you can't do that. You got contract, you know, blah, blah. I'm like, keep all the money. I'm going to go ahead and move my show. And that's when he said the things about you got to have thick skin. I was like, well, it's one thing that I'd like to change is like the expectation that I just have to be okay with you talking down to me, you know? And I moved my show the day of the show. I moved it down the street. I just had my brothers stood outside the door of the other place and just pointed people down the street. So there's two sides of it. I don't mean you got to take punches in the face and not do anything about it, but I think there's a right way to do it. And I think if you just do it with love, like I didn't yell back at him. I just said, keep all the money from the ticket sales. That's fine. That's not what this is about. I'm going to move my show down the street. And he didn't know, no skin off his back. He didn't have to come into work that night. He got to keep all the money from the tickets.
Yeah, I think it's a big difference too with arguing with people on the internet. Like what the story you're talking about, being in person and standing up for yourself is important, but engaging with a hater on an Instagram comment or a TikTok comment is really just not, like if you're engaging in a negative way, it's just not going to bring anything good. So I like your approach of being like, well, I hope you like the next one. Because like you said, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, oh, no, man, I'm just kidding. It wasn't that bad or whatever the case may be. Because that's usually what happens.
And you just got to remember, you will never be criticized by somebody who's doing more than you.
Yeah, I rap about that often. I do not know anybody who's winning who's taking the time to leave negative comments. I
think that's important
that.
for people that ask questions like that. It's like, yeah, this is how you should respond, but also this is the mindset you should have on people that do leave hate comments, so that you don't take it to heart and you can almost empathize with that person. Like, oh, they're probably not in the best place if they're scrolling TikTok and leaving hate comments, so I should approach them with grace rather than snapping back.
Yeah.
But yeah, what Nick said I loved. It's like, have thick skin, but also don't waver your self-respect, and let's change the expectation for what artists just have to accept. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love that approach. All right, next question. What program do you use and what effects for vocals? I'm trying to record some stuff, but I'm new.
I record my demos in Logic. I started way back when in GarageBand, so it was an easy transition for me to go from GarageBand to Logic, as they're both made by Apple. The interfaces are pretty similar. As far as when I'm just recording myself, I want to hear myself back with a little bit of effects on it just to sound crisp and somewhat close to what it'll sound like on the final version, even though I'm not the one that mixes and masters my songs. So I'll have compression, I'll have EQ, I'll have a little reverb, I might have delay, and then I just end up sending my vocals raw to my brother-in-law Christian, who's also my mixing engineer, and he does everything in Pro Tools. As far as the specific plugins, I couldn't give the names of that. Maybe we'll have him on for an episode and talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of my process. I just use Logic.
Nick, what about you?
Yeah. I used Pro Tools for a long time. I just downloaded some presets that gave me I tweaked the preset to make it sound better for me, but there's this thing called Isotope Nectar. It's like a plugin. They got a bunch of vocal options for you. I tweaked one that I like. I'm pretty simple when I record my demos. I record in Logic now. I used to use Pro Tools, but Logic now.
Why did you switch?
Pro Tools, I always just used it because I was used to it. Pro Tools is like you got to be a doctor, and Logic is like you just got to know how to put on a Band-Aid.
Yeah, and you're right. It's easier for the artists just to kind of get all their ideas out and not have to deal with some technical stuff, where Pro Tools obviously is the industry standard if you're a mixing or mastering engineer.
Yeah. So I bought the plugin Isotope Nectar. I have a little auto-tune plugin. I don't throw that much auto-tune on, but enough to round the vocal and make it sound more pleasant to the ear. I think 99% of artists use auto-tune, so I got a little auto-tune thing. And that's pretty much it.
So if you know how to put on a Band-Aid, use Logic, is what they're trying to say.
Yeah, I would just do that. And if you're really talking on a budget, then find your way to buying a MacBook. If it's really important to you, you'll find a way to save up enough money to get a MacBook. And then GarageBand is free, and you can record like that. And there's amazing things you can do with having a decent engineer too, because I know a guy who put out a whole album where he listened to the instrumental in his headphones and recorded his vocals into his iPhone voice memo app.
Yep.
Put out the album, nobody can tell the difference. I recorded demos like that. I recorded some demos like that when I was in Germany.
That's right, yeah.
And
you sent those to us.
I thought they sounded great.
Yeah, they sound fine. Like, people really overthink this stuff, man. Just the best tools you have are the ones that are available to you. And if it gets to a point where you can afford some new ones, or when it becomes a point where you can afford some new ones, then choose then to upgrade or not. I recorded over 50 songs out of the back of my minivan. I recorded songs in my shed, my dining room table. I put pillows in the wall and hung carpet over them. Now I have a studio. But it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, this next comment is less of a question and more of kind of like a combat in response to something you guys have said.
Ooh.
So in regards to not prioritizing playlists over building a catalog, this person said, a few extra streams, what? You can get millions of streams and get tons of new followers on the right playlist.
Nick?
I don't agree, but it's also like winning the lottery. Would you I'm a fan of the work. You know, I'm not a fan of like releasing something and then playing the lottery of if they pick my song and they put it in the absolute biggest playlist on Spotify. I'm telling you right now, I'll pull up the data right now. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, wait,
Hold
do
up.
it. This is great. Yeah, go to your Spotify for artists.
I'm going there right now. Hold the phone.
Go to like stats for the last 28 days.
Where the heck? Oh, I'm already in it. That's why I can't find it.
And then go to the playlist section. I'm so curious, like, because you're on some big playlists right
now. All right, streams. Here we go. Super transparent. In the last 28 days on Spotify, that 11.6 million streams.
God damn.
Spotify editorial playlist, 3%. 3%.
3% of those streams came from Spotify editorial playlists.
3%.
And
50%.
Name some of those playlists you're on, because they're big ones, like Varsity Bars.
I got
New Music Friday. I'm sure.
I gotta
Dude,
click
Nick's
something
been
else
on
to
the
find
top 50 viral U.S. Spotify playlist multiple times.
I've been in there. I've been on Fresh and Chill. I've been on Dopamine. I've been on Big on the Internet. I've been on blah blah. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy being on them. It's nice being on them. But I'm saying don't bank on them.
Yes.
No, don't bank on them.
And they're not gonna change your life.
No,
they're not. And as soon as you get pulled from the playlist, you're back to having no fans.
So what we're saying is do not like disregard playlists. They can be valuable, but do not prioritize them over
3%.
building a catalog. Yes.
Yeah. Don't rely on it, and don't create your whole marketing plan around getting on them or anything like that.
50% of my over 6 million streams come from listeners' own playlists.
Yeah.
That means people went out of their way to go get my song and put in their own playlist. That's how you get people to listen. That's how you gain a fan, a true supporter.
We just triggered passionate Nick. I feel like I need to make him a hat that says 3% with like a bunch of exclamation points.
3%.
Pod just dropped out 1 second.
Like it's just funny to me how people who, like, I'm assuming that this person has never been in said playlist where he has gained millions of streams and fans from.
Right.
I'm assuming that. I could be wrong. I'm assuming that. So he just heard somebody say it?
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I just gave you the facts.
I can't really think of any playlist that would get you literally 1 million streams. Like,
other than like Rap Caviar or something crazy like that. But like,
here,
yes.
I'll go in now. This is really realistic. So hold on. I'll go right into here.
Even then, though, if you're in Rap Caviar, I would, I don't know. I can't imagine, because you're probably in rotation Rap Caviar for a month. You're going to get 1 million streams just from that playlist. I don't think so.
All right, here you go.
I could be wrong.
Last 28 days for Icy Pop. I don't know how many streams the song has done, but I'm in 200,000 user playlists. Okay, with Icy Pop. Dopamine is the biggest playlist that I'm still in, and it added me 100,000 streams in the last 28 days, and I think it's a big playlist.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Wait, it says Icy Pop is in Young, Wild, and Free, which has 2.7 million followers on it.
Wow.
Oh, okay, that's a big
And
playlist.
it said it was added in the last week. It was added 6 days ago. 2.7 million followers on it. Got added 6 days ago. I've got 6,000 streams from that playlist.
Wow.
See, that's crazy. That's so little compared to what I was expecting.
Okay, so I'm just providing y'all with the facts.
This is great. I love it. This is why this podcast is so awesome. You can just pull up these stats.
Now, Dopamine, I think maybe, I got 100,000 streams from that playlist. That's amazing. But so let me tell you, Icy Pop in the last 28 days has done almost 4 million streams. So 4 million streams, 100,000 of those came from that one playlist.
That's great. How many followers does that Dopamine playlist have?
That's what I want to try to
Because
figure out.
100,000 streams in a month is actually awesome. Just from
That's
one
a great playlist. Yes, that is a wonderful playlist. If it's doing that, that is a wonderful playlist.
Yeah, I'm curious how many.
But that's the anomaly. Okay, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Only 600. Okay, it's got 630,000 likes.
Wow, that conversion rate is absolutely massive.
Why do you think that playlist is doing so much more for the song than the other playlist that has 2.5 million?
Pull it up, Bree. Pull it up on your phone if you have it available.
Yeah.
And see where it's at. Is it number 1, number 2, number 3?
Oh, like whatever. The placement in the playlist.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, let's see. And we're talking icy pop.
Because I think mine is personalized.
I'm scrolling down. I'm scrolling. Oh, okay. You're right there. Sorry, I wasn't counting.
Oh.
Well, if you would scroll for a while, so it's not even at the top or what?
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We're already past 25.
All right, yeah, so it's not in the top 25.
So that's a wonderful playlist. But I also think that maybe I was at some point up at the top.
You know what? You're right next to This Is What Falling in Love Feels Like, which was a pretty big song on TikTok.
And hey, Spotify, if you're listening, thank you for the playlist ads.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I never say they're not helpful.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they're not going to make your career if that's what that person, like, they're saying you. I don't know anybody that has been like, yo, Nick, I found you in the dopamine playlist.
Right.
You know, like, and really gained a fan from it.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people listen to those podcasts pretty passively.
Well, that was a great topic.
Yeah, that was great. I love that.
All right, next question. Is it ever good to wait a little bit after you have a song blow up before releasing another single, or just keep releasing every 2 weeks or so?
Huh?
Yeah, so Nick, if let's say you're doing your consistent releases, right? Every 2 weeks, and on week number, on your third release, the song goes crazy viral. And every time you post a TikTok, it's doing really well. The song's doing amazing. 2 weeks later, do you put out the next song, or do you kind of put that on hold and keep kind of milking the song that's doing really well?
I don't mind that the song comes out, but maybe hold off on promoting it.
All right.
But also, when Icy Pop was going viral, I was simultaneously posting Serotonin.
Yeah.
And they both were in the top 50 most viral songs.
True. Great answer. So, yeah, in your scenario, you would keep with the consistent releases, but the content that you're putting out, you might keep putting content out for the song that's doing great. You might switch it up and post the next one. If that one does well, then you have 2 songs doing great. So, yeah.
Cool. Does procrastination and writer's block mean you're not built to be an independent artist? Asking for a friend.
Something about procrastination?
Oh, am I not talking loud enough? I'll talk louder. Does procrastination and writer's block mean you're not built to be an independent artist? Asking for a friend.
Man, well,
I mean, Connor, you struggle with this every day, and you're an independent artist, so.
Yeah, I think procrastination and writer's block are 2 different things, because one is trying and one is the absence of trying. Because if you have writer's block, you're trying to do something creatively and it's not happening, which happens to me all the time. That's like my number one problem I'm trying to cut through, and something that I'm envious of Nick, who writes 3 songs a day and like never seems to have any, at least from what I've experienced from watching you work in the studio, you're always just making something and you never have problems. And if you do have problem, you're on to the next song without even putting any stress.
That's the key.
I know, and that's what I need to work on, because I get attached to beats, I get attached to ideas, and I sit there driving myself crazy. But yeah, without segueing from the question. And then the other one is the procrastination. And I think that's one that might be more of an issue, because if you're procrastinating working on music or procrastinating making the TikTok, that leads back to the question that Nick always asks is, how bad do you want it? And do you want it bad enough? Because if you really want it bad enough, the idea of procrastinating isn't even going to enter your mind. I don't know if you want to add to that, Nick.
No, I mean, you nailed it. Most people don't want it bad enough. They think they do, but they don't. So, and that's all right. That's never like, You suck. You don't want it bad enough. It just means maybe there's something else you want more.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows what that is, but when anybody says, you know, like for example, writer's block, I don't know, sometimes I just be wondering, like, you know, yes, it comes easier for some people, probably, right? That's got to be a fact. Like, it'll just come easier for some people than others. But I think that it's all work-onable. You know, like, I don't think, like, you struggle with those things. I don't think that's going to be your thing forever. I think you're going to figure out a way around it, and then you're going to be creating fluidly. Like, for me, just the other day, maybe yesterday or the day before, I don't remember, I made like a really great song, but I started 5 songs. Right? I started 5 songs, but the other ones weren't like writing themselves, if that makes sense. Like, they weren't flowing out of me. I had like a quick idea, melody, boom, wrote some lyrics, and then I was like, I'm not really feeling this. So I moved to the next one. I did that 5 times.
Yeah.
How long will you work on a song before you realize I'm going to move on to the next song? This one isn't working.
For me, it's when it feel right or when it feels wrong. But I think I can't remember a time where I like pushed myself to finish a song.
Got it.
If that, like, Pineapple, I wrote in like 30 minutes. Like a combined 30, because I wrote a little bit of it, and then Cakes came, and we were like, all right, let's write a song, or you'll write the song, then we'll film a music video, and then I'll send a song for mix, and blah, blah, blah. So I actually finished writing the song. I had to go somewhere, like, to pick up, I don't remember what, and I wrote the song on the way there, and then came back, and it was done. So, like, Fine I was written like that. Icy Pop, same way. Graham was in town. I was like, yo, this goes crazy, and then it just flowed out of me.
Yeah, I was just talking about that with Brianna the other day, that when we kind of reflect on all my songs that have done the best, whether it's Smooth or You Said, those were all the ones that, like, kind of flew out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Even
songs
Minefield,
that
we were there together. Minefield.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Like, give your experience on that.
Yeah, we because we had 2 different sessions, because we started it and then we had to go back home, and then we
Wait.
came back that night and we finished it.
Yeah.
It was like the first session was
Hey,
probably.
sorry, I'm turning this into a TikTok clip.
All right.
Connor, can you share your experience of writing Minefield with Nick and what that was like working on it with him?
Yeah, no, it was crazy. It was so fun. It was 2 different sessions, because we started it. We probably spent like 30 to 40 minutes off the start, but that also included finding the loop on Splice, putting it into Logic, like from the start.
You also had to come home for dinner.
Yeah, we came home for dinner, and then we came back that night because we were so excited to finish it. And what was also cool is, even on the drive back home to go to eat dinner, you had the demo and the instrumental, and we were still writing. Like, we weren't in the studio, but we were still coming up with flow patterns, ideas, melodies, so that we were excited to go back and finish.
Thing, man. That's the biggest thing with me, man. People, like, we were working on the drive home.
Yeah.
People don't think of that. They're like, I don't got no time. Like, you drove somewhere today, or you walked somewhere today, or you had 5 minutes somewhere today. You know, they have time. Like, we wrote it on the drive home. We wrote a little bit more probably on the drive back. When we came back, we finished it that night. I mean,
yeah, between dinner and going to sleep. I
find like a simple guitar, and we played it, and then melody. I was like, like, it just boom, right? The melody came immediately, and that's how you know, like, whoa.
Yeah, that was your first melody. That was the first thing you hummed. Was that melody that ended up being the chorus?
Okay, so on that point, Nick, do you think the first melody that comes to you instinctually is the melody that an artist should go with?
I think oftentimes it's the best one.
That's, I think, where my biggest issue comes in with me overworking it is I'm even the way I make decisions in normal life, if I'm buying a shirt or whatever, I have to look at every option. So when I'm, let's say I figure out my chorus and I'm going to write the first verse, I come up with literally 40 different flow pattern ideas to come into the verse, and I'll record them all, and I'll listen back and try to figure out which one's the best. Like, I'll record so many.
You did that with Nobodies, and then Nick was like, yeah, the first one was the best
and
one.
that's probably my issue, is I just need to trust my gut and that instinct and just kind of go with it. Because then by the time I get to number 40, I may have lost the excitement for the song, and then you get in that frustrated mode. So, yeah, that's probably my problem.
We just figured it out.
Yeah, I got to just go with my gut and you always say, a finished song is better. Wait, what do you say? I don't want to misquote you.
Done is better than perfect.
Right, and I'm always striving for that perfect, but at the end of the day, what is perfect? Because that's subjective to the person listening. So
that's something else Nick says often. Quality is subjective. So.
Yeah. Go with your gut, get it done.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, great, go to the next one. And you haven't lost that momentum and that. Yeah.
All right, guys, I've got 2 more questions for this episode. This one's just pretty straightforward. I'm just getting started. What's the best way to promote your stuff when you have like 5 followers?
The best part about TikTok is that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your posts are not even going to your followers. So followers don't even matter. Like
so true.
The best way to promote is just to make content and post it.
I feel like it's like make the same content you would make if you have 5 followers if you had 1 million followers.
That's it.
Would you say though, Bree, because you have a lot of experience with like starting accounts from scratch and growing, that initially hashtags are really important to make sure you're hitting the right group test for the initial algorithm?
I mean, in my opinion, yes, especially if you have a niche style of music. Like if you're a country artist, I would highly recommend when just starting out using like country music hashtags, just so that the algorithm can have a little help knowing where to push your stuff. But yeah, that's if you have a very specific genre. Nick makes pop music that every single person on the planet could enjoy. So in Nick's instance, hashtags aren't necessary because I think anyone seeing it could listen to it and enjoy it.
Nick, was there a moment when you stopped using hashtags, and why?
Full transparency, Swaco's video.
Interesting.
Oh, wow. Okay, so when he did that, like when the artist pulls up to the studio skit and he didn't have any hashtags?
Not one hashtag.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And
cool.
I was like, okay, maybe hashtags are hurting me because I'm closing my algorithm up when I have music that is digestible by a wider group.
I love it.
Exactly, and that's what we were saying about Minefield and Nick's music is like it transcends genres. Like anybody could listen to this and enjoy it, whereas like maybe EGOT, where you're rapping like lyrical bars,
it's a pretty niche hip hop audience
pretty
that'll
niche,
like that.
so maybe you should use hashtags for that. But really, like if your music is genreless almost, I don't think hashtags are important.
If anything, it could hurt you.
Yeah, like Nick said, it could be boxing you in.
I love that.
Anyways, last question for this episode. I already know how this is going to go, but if you're sitting on a catalog of music, how do you know which to release first and how? All singles, EPs, or an album?
Go for it, Nick.
All singles.
And why?
Look.
Nick's scratching his chin right now.
Now, how do I... There's so many ways to start this, but I think for one, albums are better for already having a base of people who already care. So if you have a base of people who already care, albums are great. Here's the problem with albums. If you say, hey, new album, and somebody goes and listens to it, and they don't like the first song, the second song, they're not listening to the rest of the songs. Not many people have and or do listen to an album for an hour straight, right? Like
I can't tell you the last time. I can't tell you the last
playlists.
time I listened to an album.
They're creating playlists. They're creating vibes. They're creating certain moods. They're creating, and they want to mix. They want a mix of sounds in there. Now, if you do drop an album, promote every song as if it were a single.
Smart.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just to say like, hey, I'm getting out all my music, and as long as you're creating content for each song individually, I think that is great. Now, also, if you drop an album, one song on there is going to be pitched for playlisting, or release radar, or blah, 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 like those things, right? When you do it all songs individually, each song is getting that opportunity. So that's more at bats to get a little bit of extra oomph if you care about that. For example, when I dropped my one album that I released in 2020, Wayside was the only song that got pushed. Every other song was just there on the album, sitting there for people to go find. We're just in such a place where you need to just have more at-bats, especially if you don't have any listeners.
What's that thing you always say about batting?
Yeah, I'd rather have 100 at-bats to hit a home run in one swing.
That's it.
Yeah, I think Russ is the perfect example of this, and he talks about it in an interview where he says, because he put out 11 albums before he started doing his song a week on SoundCloud that blew him up, and those 11 albums did nothing for him. But what he said he noticed is when he put the album on SoundCloud, the first song always had a bunch of streams, because everyone has time to hear one song, but if they're not already a super fan of you, to sit down for 45 minutes to an hour to hear a whole album, it's just not going to happen. And so he was like, all right, why don't I just put out, the way he words it, is one song albums every week? And that's what he did, and that's how the growth shot up.
And I want people to understand we are answering these questions on how to create an independent, profitable small business, not how to scratch your creative itch.
Great point.
We are coming from a place of teaching you how to make money making music, how to make a living making music, how to have a successful small business making music. I'm not trying to tell you how to be more creative. I'm not trying to tell you that it's right or wrong for you. But if you're asking us, how can I get more listeners? This is how you do it. If you're asking us, is this right for me, for what I want out of my career? I can't answer that for you.
Great. I love that. Great point.
Yeah, I'm going to save this soundbite to reply to a lot of comments with that one. That was a good clarification.
No, it's true, because there are a lot of people out there who want to create an album for the creative outlet of having a story, and they want a theme, and all these songs go together. So, of course, and that's like sort of a legacy play. They want that to be in their catalog as a body of work.
Amazing.
But yeah, you're right. A lot of the perspective we have in answering these questions is treating independent artistry as a business, and what's the best way to grow those listeners, especially if you're starting from zero. And consistent releases is 100% the best way to do it.
Boom blauzo.
Awesome, guys. All right, well, that's enough for this episode. Until next time, if you have a question for Nick or Connor, leave it in a TikTok comment or Instagram comment, and it could be featured in our next episode.
Peace.
Okay, we roll up on it, get to know you, get paid, then we pay it forward. Hold the phone, never got the ball, it's working, paying off.